excuse my language, like you gotta fucking be shitting me.
I want to hear cannons. Downfield, pull up, ball to the 5, touchdown Tampa Bay. Mike Evans does it again. Fire the cannons, Bucs.
It's first and goal. That's picked off. That's picked off. And who else? Rondé Barber. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may ride to the Super Bowl with that one.
Third down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon. Throws up with a head. Intercepted. 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25. 20. Derek Brooks all the way. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl. And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Settle in, Bucs fans. It is going to be a long show today. Welcome back to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. I'm your host, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, as always, my good buddy and co-host from BucsNation.com, Mr. Evan Wanish. 23-20 is your final score in Carolina as the now 8-7 Panthers have beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is now 3 straight NFC South losses for the Bucs. They are 7-8 with a negative record for the first time this season after a 6-2 start. And this was a game from top to bottom we're going to have time to talk about over the next hour and a half or so. But really, execution errors, some questionable play calling, and ultimately a team that just wanted it more in Carolina is going to be the major difference in why the Buccaneers lose this one. But, I mean, at this point, my friend, biggest game of the season for Tampa Bay, mostly because of self-inflicted mistakes, and self-inflicted mistakes ultimately end the ball game for them here in the fourth quarter. Is anybody surprised at this point? I'm not saying the season's over because they showed the graphic 5 or 6 times throughout the broadcast. I think the Bucs have like a 54% chance to make the playoffs now, but they are relying on more outside help than they were before. It just obviously not the showing that you wanted. And I think with some of the coaching decisions, play calling, we'll get into that. There is a lot to take away from this one, and it's certainly not great.
No, it's not. I mean, there's no other way to really sugarcoat it, right? So just didn't do the little things well enough, I think, today, to win the game. And you had your opportunities. I think both teams had their opportunities to kind of pull away, and I think both teams kind of showed you that, like, they're not the greatest, right? Like, the Panthers aren't, like, they're fine, but, like, they're not like some juggernaut or whatever, right? Like, they had, like I said, they had their opportunities to put the Bucs away, and they didn't. So, yeah, I mean, just a game that, and again, like you talked, Tampa Bay still controls their own destiny. If they win, these last 2 games, it doesn't matter what the Panthers do next week. Like, if they win these next 2 games, the Bucs are in. So they still do technically control their own destiny. But yeah, I mean, that graphic, right? It was like with a win, what was it, like 96% or something? With a loss, it was like 54%. The reason it's still 54%, it's more likely than not, right, is because the Buccaneers will be favored over the Dolphins, and like being at home against Carolina, 2 pretty even teams. The Bucs being the home team, they'll probably be favored to win that game as well. So that's where you sort of get those percentages from. So yeah, the Bucs still do have it out in front of them, but this isn't the way you want to do it, right? This is not the way you want to get things done. And because again, the last 2 seasons, they've gone into the playoffs kind of hot, right? Like, you might have a loss here or there that sort of slows you down a bit, but like, they've been able to go on these runs, and now this year it just feels totally different. So 6-2 to 7-8 now, below 500 for the first time all season. Not good, and we'll get into it. There's a lot of different things, right? And I don't think it's all on Baker. I think there's a lot of other things, but yeah, it's a full team effort today, really.
No, I thought for 3.5 quarters it seemed like they put a suppressor on Baker Mayfield.
I thought we were watching Army Navy.
Yeah, it really was apparent that at some point, I don't know if it was Todd Bowles just stepping in and kind of nixing the game plan they had for the week, but it was apparent the Bucs had a mission to run the ball over 30 times. The commentators kept talking about it. And I was like, they cannot be serious. But from a play calling perspective, they absolutely were serious. As far as the Bucs season goes, yeah, it's all still out in front of them. But my friend, this is a team that has developed a seasonal slump, and we've called it a slump because it normally, at worst, lasts, 4 to 5 weeks, and then they kind of get it together. And as you said, they get into the postseason playing well. This is a team that a slump has just turned into an absolute avalanche. I mean, it feels like they are a team in free fall right now because for the last 3 weeks, even when it felt like they were making some progress on the offensive side of the ball, Baker had been throwing the ball a little bit more decisively these last couple of weeks. He did make his fair share of mistakes. We saw the happy feet show up again. He generated a sack or two for himself today. But, I mean, for the most part, he had some nice downfield targets. Emeka Ibuka, he hit him on a big 40-plus yard play. Things like that were opening up a bit. And the offensive approach today was just very clearly to run the ball. And I don't know exactly why they chose to, not rely on Baker as much. I understand he has been struggling, and that's been a talking point on the show for the last month and a half. But what have you got to lose? I think any successful team in the NFL is mostly leaning on their quarterback to make those plays. And Baker is a guy who looks like he is healthy enough at this stage of the game to make some of those plays. He made some plays on the ground with his legs. He made some plays through the air, as we said, some big-time plays. Mike Evans got in the touchdown, and that was a great moment, right? I mean, Mike Evans one-on-one, they're going to get that look every single time in the red zone, and they're gonna fire, and they're gonna take that shot. And it was good to see him get that first one. They targeted him again, and it didn't work out as successfully. But what are we doing at this stage of the game? It truly feels like the Bucs are, in every sense of the word, out of gas. And we've kind of been, talking about it the last couple of weeks, man. But it feels like this is it. I think. I listen. It's all still out in front of them, but what kind of feeling are you going to get after 3 losses like this? And I mean, this was the biggest game of Bryce Young's career. And there were a couple of times, the Bucs kind of called his bluff, and he delivered. They blitzed him on that one touchdown. Jamal Dean gets beat pretty rough one-on-one.
I'm not even going to blame Dean on that. Like, I don't know why you blitz in that situation. Like, what they're going to do. They have one option, right? They had no timeouts. You can't throw the ball in the middle of the field, but you're not going to have time to get down and kick the field goal. So there's one thing they're trying to do there. They're going to throw it to the end zone. Why would you blitz? Just play the zone coverage. Keep everything in front of you. Keep 7 points off the board, and instead let him kick the field goal. I don't know. It's not even like, even if they had sacked Bryce Young there, it wasn't going to take him out of field goal range. Like, sure, I guess the thinking is, well, if you sack them, like, they're not going to have time to, get the field goal unit on or get the ball spiked, whatever. But the same can be said if you just went up and just tackled the guy in bounds. Like, I don't know why you don't, like, that's the time to play a little conservative. Like, that's the time. Like, what was Carolina doing on that final drive? The Bucs were getting a lot of, 7, 8, 9 yards, right? But the Carolina was keeping it all in front of them. So it was, come up and tackle. And I just don't understand why, in that instance right there, I don't understand that blitz call at all. So obviously, yeah, Dean gets beat, but I don't know why you put him on an island in that situation when you know what Carolina is going to be trying to do there. That made 0 sense to me. The offensive game plan made 0 sense to me. To be fair, I do want to, just full disclosure, I still think they're going to win the division. I don't think the Panthers are good enough to sweep them. And I think that the Dolphins are not very good. So I think the Bucs are probably going to win the next 2 games and just win the division. But that doesn't excuse performances like this, right? Like, you still got to talk about it, and it still doesn't make you feel good, right? Like, and obviously, like, you have no chance in the playoffs. Like, if you lose these types of games, you lose 3 straight divisional games, you're not going to win in the playoffs, right? The team's not going to win a playoff game. Yeah, I mean, I thought, okay, we'll get more into the offensive game plan, but I don't know if Baker Mayfield's, and I've defended it saying, like, well, obviously they don't want Teddy Bridgewater out there, but if Baker Mayfield's really that hurt to where you're, running the ball so much, I understand that, like, yeah, and it's not like the Bucs were getting stuffed consistently. Like, yeah, okay, they were picking up, 5-6 yards on the ground. Like, Rashad White had that one big one. So it wasn't like they were getting completely stonewalled, or else I think they would have gotten away from it a little bit. But I don't understand the game plan at all. And I understand people are going to say, well, if you just put it in his hands, look what happens at the end of the game. Yeah, but you got to do more than that throughout the game. Like, you got to give him an opportunity. You have all these weapons now, right? Like, you have Mike Evans back, you have Chris Godwin back, you have Jalen McMillan back. I don't know why you're not putting the ball in those guys' hands and just letting them go to work. You're literally taking the ball and you're playing too conservatively. And I don't understand what their game plan was. I don't know why they were trying to do it. And it seemed like the entire day, on offense and defense a little bit, except obviously for one on the defense side, the blitz there, it seemed like the Bucs played very scared and like very conservative. And I don't understand why. And ultimately, I think it cost them, because I think if the game plan on the offensive side of the ball is a little bit different, I think they could be a little bit more aggressive. I think the outcome of the game might be different.
33 rushing plays on the ground. Baker Mayfield threw it 26 times. He was 18 for 26, 145, one touchdown, and then that one interception, the nail in the coffin at the end of the game there. As you said, this is the healthiest they have been at wide receiver all season. And it was apparent that Mike Evans, again, we talked about it leading into this game, he's got some juice. Like, he can make some things happen on the offensive side of the ball. When they went into panic mode at the end of the game, they were funneling it out to Mike Evans a little bit. At least they were trying to. He tied for the team lead in catches today, 5 receptions for 31 yards for big number 13. But on top of the situational play calling, when you ultimately find yourself on passing downs, you're doing it on third long. You're doing it on third and,
Yeah, that's what happens when you run the ball without much success on first and second.
You're putting your quarterback in a really tough position, and that's going to reflect on how people think he played. Because, I thought this was, for the most part, the interception is just, that sucks, man.
Yeah,
it really does.
I mean, I think it's on Baker and Mike.
It is.
I don't know. I don't know why Mike cuts it in so early. It seemed like he sort of panicked and just started to just scramble a little bit too early. Baker's, obviously anticipating him still running. So I think it's on both of them, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, just not a great day. We're going to talk about it. And the phones are on 305-224-1968. The meeting ID on your screen, 747-973-0150. We want to hear from you. First caller of the show, who's this?
Hello, this is Fogo, regular Bucs fan. First off, before I go on my rant, I want to say thank you and Evan for giving us weekly recaps, reviews, all sorts of Bucs information leading up to the game and after the game. God bless y'all.
Thank
you. To the game. Let me start with how the game went from the beginning. Game went great. We were going neck on neck with the Panthers. Then the call that was controversial before the end of the first half, where Bowles decided to blitz and ended up being a McMillan touchdown, it gave Rams flashbacks.
I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wasn't happy with that, but I was okay with it. Then the third quarter came. I was looking at the offensive scheme. Like you guys said, we had more run plays than pass plays, and I was like, okay, I know Baker's injured, but there's got to be some way where we can do like in routes for Mike, in routes for Godwin, McMillan, especially for Tez, because I know that Mike and Godwin can't do it like how they used to do it back then. I thought they're going to, implement Tez Johnson into this game. No, I did not see him. Even Cade probably had 2-3 catches of the game. So, I don't understand what's going wrong with the offense when we have all our offensive players. And now, finally, Baker. I'm a Baker fan till whatever I saw at that last play where him and Mike had a miscommunication. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I don't think Baker is the QB for the Buccaneers for the next few seasons. I won't say next season because we don't know what's going to happen next season. But if Baker is doing this on a consistent basis where he has a good run, a good touchdown, and a bad pick, it's giving Jameis Winston with less interceptions. And I don't think the Bucs can handle that or go on a Super Bowl run with Baker. So those are my takes. Thank y'all, and hope y'all have a wonderful day. Go Bucs.
Go Bucs, my friend. Great call.
Really quick about like the point of like, well, if Baker's hurt or whatever. What do you mean? Like that didn't stop them. Last week, Baker threw the ball 34 times. Like he would have been more hurt last week, would he not have? Like, apparently, I think they said during the broadcast that Mayfield, for the first time, like in a while, wasn't wearing any sort of sleeve protecting the shoulder in practice. So, and he wasn't on the injury report at all. So, naturally, you would think he's healthier. He threw the ball 34 times, then had a 10-day break, and then came to this game. Before that, he threw the ball 30 times against New Orleans. So, it's not that like, oh, he's hurt or whatever, because should have been more hurt a couple of weeks ago, closer to the injury, had more time to heal. So it's just that was their game plan today. And I think it's just freaking insane.
Let me talk to you and ask about Todd Bowles' halftime comments, because I was going to bring up the thing
I saw
they said.
that. I didn't notice it until about a couple minutes before we went live. I saw him.
So we had talked about that report pregame about Baker Mayfield. I'm glad you brought that up. But this is another soundbite that we're going to hear about throughout the rest of the week. Todd Bowles basically insinuates at the half, he says, we're going to win the time of possession battle, and that's going to be indicative in the box score at the end of the game. So it was apparent that his plan is to run the ball, control the clock, win the time of possession battle. So let me ask you, I've seen this being floated around. Is this Todd Bowles ultimately just pulling rank and kind of making his own game plan over whatever Josh Grizzard had actually schemed up? Because I just refuse to believe that with the Bucs as healthy as they are at wide receiver, having Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan back in this offense, I refuse to believe that is what Josh Grizzard rolled out after, a week of game planning.
10 days ago, they threw the ball 34 times with the same weapons.
Yeah,
now you would expect Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan to be even healthier now than they were then. So, like, yeah, no, this was definitely a Todd Bowles call. I don't think, I think Josh Grizzard, obviously, he has some say in it, but I think Todd Bowles said, like, yeah, let's run it this week. Like, we
got a we got a $2 super chat here from Geist. He says, win time of possession but lose. I mean, it's a great philosophy. There's a lot of perspectives you can take from a loss like this, and ultimately you can say that the Bucs are 2 steps ahead. They're taking themselves out of first place in the division to avoid the blue shell effect. We've all played Mario Kart. They want the pressure to be on Carolina these final 2 weeks. I think big brain stuff here from Todd Bowles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like I think that was I obviously it's not like Todd Bowles isn't sitting there calling the plays today on offense, but like, yeah, I think it was a mandate of like, yeah, I'd like to see. I'm not saying maybe he doesn't have to say this needs to happen, but he's probably suggested like during the week, like, yeah, we need to run the ball more. Like, and I just wonder, hey, and this is not really conspiracy theory, but like, has Bowles lost a little bit of trust in Baker Mayfield? Right? Because maybe he wants to take the ball out of his hands a little bit. I don't think that's right. I think you just you let it rip and see what happens. Like obviously you use the run game to your advantage, but like you just got way too conservative. I mean, they get the ball in the red zone right after that $20 super chat from Bill Camporis.
Let's go, Bill.
It says at least you guys are winners. Appreciate you, Bill. Really do. Thank you so much. But, and then they get the ball in the red zone. They run the ball 3 straight times, including the last one where they bring in Vita Vea and don't have a single wide receiver out there. What do you think is going to happen? Like, it didn't work, and the Bucs had to settle for a short field goal. So, yeah, a frustrating day, and really just a very confusing offensive game plan.
Yeah, I think in some sense of the word, if that was Todd Bowles pulling rank, which at this point it's safe to insinuate, I think he's just in panic mode. Like that, the halftime comments, he knows that time is short, and I don't know, man. It's just hard to defend after 3 straight weeks of shitty football, for lack of a better term. From the 813, who is this? Hello?
What's going on? I think hello?
Oh, we got you. What's up, buddy?
All right, perfect. All right, yeah, this is my first time calling in. I'm Michael Williams from the 813, and I'm just like extremely disappointed. I don't really have too much to say. Like I just can't believe this really happened. I spent the last 3 weeks believing, okay, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. this is going to be it. And then it just never came. And it's just gross to look at, man. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, we have 4 great receivers and we're still running more than passing. It's just gross to look at, but but it is what it is, man. I really appreciate this podcast though, and I think you guys are doing a great job. So go Bucs, but hopefully we get a new coach soon. This is just gross.
Go Bucs. Great call, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for the kind words as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
A lot of gratitude so far, man. I mean, 2 callers complimented us, Bill, with a 20-hour super chat. Really appreciate you guys.
You know, that's the vibes of like a funeral, to be honest with you. I think the season's over. I think
we're all in this together, right?
I know the ship's going down, and we got to show some love here. From the 626, who's this?
What's up, guys? It's Richard T from the West Coast.
Wow.
Oh, he sounds hyped up.
Speedy Gonzalez.
What's up, Richard T?
Dude, I think Luke Gedicke is holding me still.
Oh, boy.
all the way over here. It's crazy.
Yeah, rough day
That's
for
crazy.
number 67. Just a rough day at the office. We talk about execution errors,
dude.
and I think 85% of those Buccaneers offensive penalties today were on number 67. Tough to see from a vet like that.
It is, especially after giving him the contract that he got in the offseason. And I really think that's really indicative of how everyone on this offense is grasping this scheme, because no one knows what the fuck they're doing. Seriously.
Yeah, I think that, you can say this about both sides of the ball. I would say more so the defense if we're going to bring Todd Bowles into the conversation. The execution errors by Gedicke are one thing, but Jamel Dean being left on an island one-on-one on that touchdown play. Some of the other execution errors we've seen in the last few weeks. Kendall Vildor on, 4th and 14 on Thursday Night Football. Kendall Vildor is a different situation, but like with Jamel Dean and with the Baker Mayfield interception, I start to think about, you lean on your big players in moments like the final 5 minutes of today's game, and you've got numerous chances to put Carolina away. And weeks on end, I mean, even in Thursday Night Football, that one kind of melted away from Tampa because it seemed like for the first half of that fourth quarter, it was their ball game to lose, and they found a way to lose it. You're relying on your big players to step up and make plays, and they're just not doing that, and they're ultimately letting you down. And it's happening on both sides of the ball, and it really is disappointing because you can look at the defense and some of their shortcomings, and it's like, we've talked about this a few weeks now, but where are the big-time playmakers? Vita Vea is there. Tyke Smith is there. Depending on the week, you could say Antoine Winfield's there, but he's been kind of invisible these last 2-3 weeks. It just seems like, I don't know, it seems like this version of the Buccaneers, their best version is behind them. And that's disappointing because they have now made a habit of losing and they just can't get out of their own way at this point. And some way, somehow, they still have a decent chance to win the division here, Richard T.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's the thing with the defense. Like, look, here's what we with the Todd Bowles defense. Us as fans know how to beat a Todd Bowles defense. So if we know how to beat it, you damn know that like opposing offensive coordinators know how to beat it. And when you see it come to fruition, and when you're proven right, when you're seeing like how a broken play happens and these wide receivers are wide ass open, it feels like almost every play, and you're just sitting there like, damn, I told you, I knew it. I told you guys. But going back to the offense, I just want to make one more point before I let you guys go. It just really feels like, look, I was really giving Josh Kazard the benefit of the doubt with all the injuries that happened, and now it's been 2 consecutive weeks where he has all his toys, and 20 points is the best he can do, right? It just feels like he's a 2-year-old playing with toys that's for 8+. He doesn't know what to do with it. When his offense gets figured out, he doesn't know how to pivot. He doesn't know how to adjust. And with the roster that we have on offense, with the plethora of weapons, it's weapons galore, dude. We should not be doing 20 points today, barely getting 20 points. We should easily be a 30-point team offensively, and we're just not there. And you can say it's the interior offensive line, it's Baker making poor decisions, whatever it is. Everyone on that side of the ball is not on the same page. And I can honestly say now that I'm over the Josh Grizzard experience. So, sucks. I know Bucs mathematically still in it, but we don't feel good about it. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys with that. You guys have a Merry Christmas. Everyone listening, Merry Christmas to you all. I'm sorry Bucs lost today, but you know what? We all might get what we wanted, and that's Todd Bowles out. So, you guys have a good one.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Richard T. Go Bucs. We appreciate your call.
Really quick, because he talked about Grizzard, and I get it, like I do, but I also do have a tougher time completely killing Grizzard today, because like I mentioned, I do think like he got an order from the head coach to to like run the football, like so. I understand, right? There is spots he could have been better. I get that. Down the red zone, like I said, running the ball 3 straight times. I'm sure Todd Bowles is not sitting there saying, hey, you better run this ball 3 straight times and put Vita Vea in there. Like, I'm sure he's not saying that. So, like, yeah, there are things, but at the same time, I think it was clearly a point of emphasis by the head coach who, like, sorry, but that's the offensive coordinator's boss, essentially. Like, I do think there was a mandate to run the football more. So I can't absolutely kill Grizzard today. Does he need to be better? Yes, because he's involved in doing that game plan as well. But I won't pin the blame 100% on him for a lot of the play calls, just because I think the head coach kind of handicapped him.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there. I have a hard time, and this is going to be a point of contention all week, especially when you go back and watch the game again. I have a hard time believing that was what Grizzard had cooked up, especially after some of the looks the Bucs were getting on those intermediate passes Thursday Night Football. Early on, they really were getting some efficient run blocking from Payne Durham and those 2 tight end sets, and like that was, when it was clear on that opening drive, I think they opened it up with like 6 or 7 carries. 5 of them went to Bucky Irving, and they ultimately find the end zone, which was nice, but it just, I don't know, man. I agree with your sentiments. Let's get to some more calls here from the 656. Who is this?
Right. I it up with like 6 or 7 here.
Hello.
How you doing?
Howdy.
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Yeah, I have some issues with these. I don't think it's Baker nor the offensive coach.
Okay.
I think it's the actual players. The right tackle on key runs was first down holding. Then what was that? Starting false start. I think he had 67 had like 4 penalties.
Yeah.
And then the receivers, number 11, 4 hit him right in the hand. That was the first down. It almost was an interception because he knocked the ball out. So I don't, and the last interception, Evans reversed himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he was trying to do something, but that's why Baker threw it there, because Evans was heading in that direction. So I can't blame Baker that did 80-yard runs and the right tackle is weak. Why are they not running to the left where the all-pro tackle is? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's Baker. Baker was on target. These guys were dropping the ball, and what's it, McMillan or what?
Yeah.
Number 11.
Yep.
He almost fumbled the ball on the first catch. This thing hit him right in the hand. I used to be a receiver in college. The coach said if it hits your hand, you should be able to catch it. and it was right in his hand. That was the first down.
Yeah, this
but
was
67 was
this,
really.
This was a game
Go ahead.
riddled with execution errors. It was a team effort. We kind
Mhm.
of said that at the top of the show. The Bucs have now made a
Mhm.
habit of finding ways to lose, and it's hard to put it on just one person. I think a lot of it, the offensive game plan or lack thereof that we've talked about it, that's a huge reason. There's no denying that. I think the offensive approach was just flawed in a sense. It didn't make very much sense, and people can choose to defend that if they wish, but outside of that, there were, like you said, just a game riddled with execution errors, and it's classic Bucs beating Bucs, which is something we've seen time and time again. Final thoughts, my friend, before we let you go.
Okay, the final kickoff, guys to 35. What guys having a fight?
Yeah.
Brought it back to the, those are the issues that make the team lose. Stupid, rookie mistakes.
Can't
Yeah.
happen. Yep.
John Bullock, hey, we appreciate your call, my friend. Go Bucs.
Okay, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. John Bullock, man, I'm curious what he's going to be doing in 3 weeks' time, because that's just, again, like you said, that's elementary stuff. That's football 101.
I'm curious.
And
I don't know what he's going to be doing 24 hours from now.
Damn, dude,
I mean, immediately putting him behind the 8 ball, right? Was something that didn't. Like, I would understand. Okay, if it's in the play, okay, that's one thing, right? It's after the play, and that's just stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, that cannot happen.
Self-inflicted errors, things like that. It can be talked about till the cows come home. The other thing too was the fact that you got a decent return day. Cameron Johnson had multiple 45+ yard returns. He had the Buccaneers' longest returns of the season in the punt game, and was setting up the offense with, field position right around midfield multiple times. And, you just can't seem to take advantage. There was never any complimentary football. And today it was just ugly. It was just an ugly process, and it ultimately didn't work. So,
yeah, it's, I mean, look, and here's some other stuff, because I know there's going to be a lot of people in the, in the chat talking about Baker and everything. Just to get out in front of this as well. Like, Baker Mayfield will be their quarterback next year. Beyond that, I think he likely is. I don't think it's a slam dunk that he is. Like, I don't think it's like guaranteed, but I think most likely he is. And I do think that, again, I think we sort of talked about this last week. There's a middle ground, right? I think there is a middle ground from what the weeks 1 through 6 or so, right? Baker Mayfield versus weeks 7 through 16, right? I think there's a middle ground there. And honestly, that's kind of what Baker was in 2023 and 2024. He was kind of that middle ground, right? And people were fairly pleased with that. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, again, it's also like they're not going to be high enough to pick a quarterback. Picking a rookie quarterback is essentially starting over. Like, people want Mike Evans to stay. Is Mike Evans going to want to sit and develop a rookie quarterback? Like, there's a lot of things that go into that, right? So, and again, they're not going to be bad enough. So, he's not going anywhere. Like, he's just not. The Bucs can do a lot worse, and he's not. He's one of the reasons, sure. He's one of the reasons why they were 6-2 and now they're 7-8 for sure. And he needs to be better. There's no sugarcoating that either. But he's not the only reason, and there's a lot of other issues on this team, I think, than the quarterback.
No, you talk about Baker there staying in Tampa Bay in 2026 as if some change is coming. So let me ask you this question, kind of the elephant in the room at this point. Is this the game that decides Todd Bowles' fate in Tampa Bay? Because I know that the pressure has been mounting, and fans have been tired of his shit for 3 weeks at this point, but
3 years.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who have wanted him out for a long time, but it's gotten to a point where, yes, the Bucs can still make the postseason, but the general consensus is that they're not going to do anything against a legitimate football team. Could you imagine if they faced the 2-seed Rams?
Well, right now the Rams are the 5 seeds, so the Bucs would face them.
Yeah.
Ready for round 2?
Oh, buddy. Matt Stafford playing the way that he is.
Round 1 was so fun.
Yeah, I have little faith that this team is going to show us anything over the next 2 weeks here that proves that they should be a team worth looking out for in January. To be quite honest with you, I don't look forward to covering this team in January if they get an opportunity. It feels like it is delaying the inevitable here.
And that sucks, right? Because you should want to look forward to covering a playoff game, but I'm in the same boat. Like,
so,
I'm good.
Obviously, the Glazers are not going to make the move in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
We've got 2 games
They've never
left.
done it.
Yeah, they're not going to do it this season. I would be shocked if they did. But I think at this stage of the game, you can realistically say that even if they make the postseason, there should be heavy consideration for moving on from Todd Bowles because of the way this Bucs team is now looking at a season in free fall after a 6-2 start. And there we go. Amazement 717 really quick with a $5 super chat. He says, makes a great point. If you lose to Bryce Young and Quinn Ewers back-to-back weeks, don't even bother coming to the facility staff. Stay home for the holidays.
I mean, Bryce Young's one thing, but yeah, Quinn Ewers. I mean, that's
buddy.
You can't lose that game next week. That's regardless of what you think of Bowles or anything like that. You got to win that game. But he's not wrong. he's not wrong. That's still like even if the Bucs were to lose next week, the Glazers would still not fire him. Like what you're gonna go into a game where, assuming Carolina loses to Seattle, right? Because obviously Seattle is going to be favored in that game. Assuming, like, let's say Tampa loses to Miami, right? Brutal loss. But if the Panthers loses to Seattle, it still comes down to week 18. Like, it still comes down, if the Bucs win that game, they're in the playoffs. The winner of that game would win the NFC South. So what, you're going to fire Bowles and be on a week where you have to win with an interim head coach? Like, no, it's not going to happen. So for anybody hoping Bowles is going to be fired like tomorrow, you're going to be disappointed. But things aren't looking good. And I'm not going to officially say, like, oh, he's going to be fired or not. But if I had to guess right now, and this is coming from somebody who 20 minutes ago said he still thinks they're going to win the division, and I do. It does feel like there might be some sort of change. If they win the division, they go to the playoffs, you and I, we both do not have any faith in this team to win a playoff game. You shouldn't. Like, why should you? There's no evidence that they're going to be able to win a playoff game. There is none. I wonder if they do win the division and they do they play a playoff game, if they lose. I wonder if it's not a Todd Bowles fired. I wonder if it's a Todd Bowles retires thing.
Yeah.
You
got to dress it up.
Todd Bowles steps down thing, right? That's what I wonder, but I do think it's increasingly likely that the Bucs are gonna have a new head coach next year.
1-6 over their last 7 games. Let's get to another call here from the 228. Who's this? Going once, going twice.
Hey, Rhett and Evan, how are y'all? Podcast, go Bucs.
Hey, buddy, we can
What's
hear
up,
you.
man?
How's it going?
Hey, fellas. Doing great, man. Just something I wanted to let the Bucs Nation know and kind of understand, and I think is kind of missing the ball here, is that we can be able to blame Todd now. I mean, we've seen enough of this. I think that getting to this point now, I can agree with everybody saying we need to move on from Todd. That's not an issue at all. Moving on from Baker, not an option. People were saying we need to move on from Baker. You obviously don't know game and ball. But one thing I do want to say, again, like I said, I think we're missing, is that our players are playing scared.
Yeah.
That is the issue. Coaching can be an issue. The way you coach your players can be an issue. But our players are playing scared. Point blank. Coaching can coach that out of players, but as men, especially on the NFL level, they have to hold each other accountable. And if you watch Week 15 NFL mic'd up with Levante David last week with Atlanta, you saw the absolute frustration of him trying to row the boat himself. He is, God forbid, but I think it's going to be his last year. He's getting to that age, but he's rowing the boat himself. Baker's kind of, at the helm of the ship and trying to steer these guys. But at the end of the day, what's going on is that our players are playing scared. If you watch the post-game interviews, they're pouting. what we need this next season, we need to draft dogs. We need to draft edge rushers, a linebacker, someone who sticks their chest out and not only talks the talk but walks the walk. We had that in Devin White. Obviously, he fell off, right? He fell off, and it is what it is. But we need players like Devin White as far as holding the mantle, stepping up to the line, and holding others accountable. We have leaders. We have a lot of leaders. We have Wirfs, Vita Vea, Mike Evans, everyone. But in my opinion, they don't, how can I say this? Our leaders are quiet leaders. Yes, they can talk. Yes, they can hype each other up.
Lead by example
some
more
sort
so.
Of force. Well, we need a loudmouth, unapologetic, I think on defense, we need a loudmouth, unapologetic leader on defense. I think our offense is fine. Yes, the offensive line can be worked up a little bit and taken care of a little bit, but we need some loudmouth, unapologetic players. Inside the locker room, what's going on is that they're friends. They don't want to blame someone else. They don't want to blame this guy. They don't want to blame this guy. We need someone getting in there blaming people, holding other players accountable. And then I think at that point, we can kind of move forward and stop beating ourselves up, because these penalties, these plays that just keep beating ourselves up, shooting ourselves in the foot, they're playing scared, and we need a guy in there to rally them up.
Great call, my friend. Go Bucs. We're going to break it down here in a second. I'm going to say this, and I think when it comes to the player execution part of things and the state of the locker room, I think it is less, they need a loud guy, blah, blah. Like, I don't really buy into that as much as I buy into, like, they just need more guys who can execute. And Todd Bowles insinuated that a couple of weeks ago. He's like, the coaches have done all they can. And when you hear something like that,
he's not wrong, but
right,
like,
he's not wrong. And we talked about this on the pregame show with James. You can look at this collapse and you can point to a ton of things for the Bucs, who again are 1-6 over their last 7 games. You can point the finger at the quarterback. You can point the finger at the offensive line. You can point it at the defense. You can point it at the injuries. You can point it at the coach, but like, this is a complete and total collapse. It's not like it's just things that Todd Bowles has done that has contributed to why the Bucs are where they are right now. There has been more than a fair share of execution errors, and at some point, you've just got to be like, listen, you can either do it or you can't. And at some stage of the game, the Bucs can't do it. I mean, did you see one of the things that we see week in and week out at this point? Missed tackles today. How many sacks this season do you think the Bucs have just quite literally let slip through their fingers, right? They have to lead the league in some capacity as far as just not finishing plays. Yaya Diaby had multiple times today where he had great pressure, just couldn't make a move to get off of a block and affect the quarterback. He's doing some things right. I'm sure his pressure rate's going to be great, but he's not finishing plays. And then you look at the talent, you look at who's playing well, who's available. It goes back to what we've said before. So I think it's less about needing a loudmouth or some kind of personality on defense. Like, you need guys who can do it.
Yeah, I agree, but also, like, I think I said a couple weeks ago, like, I think the Bucs kind of need some pricks. Like, I do think they need some guys with a little bit more edge. Like, you look at that Super Bowl team, and obviously, again, comparing it to a team that won the Super Bowl, like, I get it, but like, that had Jason Pierre-Paul, and like, yeah, okay, like, oh, Jason Pierre-Paul's on the team now. He joined a team 2 weeks ago. What's he gonna do? Like
I mean, he was out there today.
And like, he looked at about how you'd expect, like, whatever, anybody who was expecting 2019 Jason Pierre-Paul was kidding themselves. But like, they had Jason Pierre-Paul, they had Ryan Jensen, they had Ndamukong Suh, and obviously it helps when you have Tom Brady, right? Who's obviously going to demand those things, right? Who's going to demand that excellence. But all 3 of those players that I mentioned, Suh, Jensen, Pierre-Paul, they were all there before Brady even got there. So like, they've been on the team, and I think, like, the Bucs need some guys with a little bit more edge. And I'm not saying that, if they get that, they'll magically be, great and everything. I'm not saying that. Because there is other issues, and I agree. Like, they need dudes also. Like, it rings a little bit hollow when you got like the 3rd string linebacker being a douche in the locker room and say, you need to be better, you need to be better.
Yeah.
You need a dude doing that, right? Like, you need a guy who's a legit player doing that. And I understand, the caller saying about, how they need to draft like some dogs and stuff. Rookies aren't going to come in and do that stuff, though. Like, they need to get some veterans in here. And by veterans, I'm not saying sign 36-year-olds, but like, they need to get some guys who have been there and done that and know what it's like to win and know what it's like to, say like, yeah, you need to be better. And they have to do that because, and I'm not saying they're going to go out and spend $100 million on different players this offseason. It's going to be like Madden and they're going to get an entirely new team, but they do need to, I think, find that edge a little bit. And I think Scott Reynolds had wrote something on Pewter Report like last week or something like that about how like Jason Light's draft approach should change. The Bucs have, we always look at like, what's a guy that the Bucs look for? No off-field issues, right? No, nothing, right? Like if you have off-field problems or there's character issues or whatever, they're not going to pick you. Well, okay, I'm not saying you have to pick every single guy, but take a swing every now and then, right? And Scott Reynolds actually brought up a good point. If Jason Light was in charge back in 1995, this team does not draft Warren Sapp. Like they don't do it. The Warren Sapp is not on their draft board. So yeah, I'm not saying it's going to pay off every time. It won't. It's not going to pay off every time. But at some point, you need to take some gambles on some guys, and maybe that's what you need. And so I do think the Bucs need some guys with edge. I think it needs to come more so from veterans, but also I think their draft approach needs to change a little bit as well.
No, and it highlights exactly why there is going to be a lot of eyes on Jason Light's offseason approach, particularly in how they address free agency. Like you said, I don't think anyone's expecting them to go out and make an earth-shattering move.
They need to make a few moves, though.
I'm going to say this. I wouldn't expect them to make it, but I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't hate to see it. When you're a team that is, at this point, kind of in a state of change is on the way, maybe that's the juice that you tack on with a new head coach.
$5 super chat from Dario Joey Salas. Appreciate it. He said, sigh, just 15 more days until Black Monday. Any chance the Bucs trade for an offensive HC? Last 2 times resulted in Super Bowl wins. That's true. The Bucs technically did trade for Bruce Arians. I don't believe so. The days of basically the John Gruden trade are pretty much over, right? Of like, they're going to trade for Kevin O'Connell or something like that. Teams don't do that anymore, right? Like okay, you could say, Sean Payton. Sean Payton wasn't coaching the Saints, though, at the time. He was in the broadcast booth. Bruce Arians was in the broadcast booth. That's the only time you see that. So, no, I don't think so. But 15 more days until Black Monday. We'll see, though. We'll see what happens.
We got another caller here. We appreciate your patience from the 972. Who's this?
Hi, this is Banu. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks so much for doing such a great job in hosting these sessions with the fans. I just wanted to chime in because I think ownership probably told Todd Bowles, you're going to be probably let go at the end of the season or you can retire. Probably that conversation has already happened. And so I think that maybe the kind of the projection from him onto the offense is, hey, let's be conservative. Let's get through the season, see what we can do. But whether we make it or not, his writing is on the wall. And I think Todd's basically kind of resigned himself to that aspect. So I kind of wanted to think what your thoughts may be in terms of that's concerned.
I don't know. Hey, we appreciate your call, my friend. Go Bucs.
Yeah, go Bucs.
I listen, if that's a conversation that's been had, the only thing that I can take from that is like, what a loser mentality, to just kind of turtle up and be like, the writing's on the wall. I'm gonna go ahead and cash it in. With everything that can be said about Todd Bowles, I don't think that is the character he would have if presented with that situation, especially when all things considered, even now at 7-8, the Bucs still have a chance to win this division. You can't fold when that is where you're at in the season, despite how the last month and a half is gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm sure the Glazers have maybe had discussions with each other right? Because it's the Glazer family, right? Maybe they've had conversations with each other about what they might do. But I'm not sure if that's ever been relayed to Bowles yet, because like they want Bowles to be focusing on winning football games right now, right? Like you don't really want to have a distraction of that, right? Like, and then let's say Bowles tells Bowles tells another coach on the coaching staff, and that coach tells somebody else. And that starts to get to the players. Like, I don't know if you want that, right? So that's like what Monty Kiffin basically told the team that he was leaving. I was that 2008 when that collapse happened, and then John Gruden was fired. We have a $2 super chat from Brutal as Bucks 9719. Brutal, the biggest Baker Mayfield fan I know.
Hey, I gotta give Brutal some credit before you read off this super chat here. You say he's the biggest Baker fan, at least he gave the guy a fair shake.
Yeah, no, he gives him credit when he does well. It's not like he picks apart. It's not like Baker's gonna have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's gonna say, well, he had 300 incompletions,
right?
Yeah, but he did say Baker's game-winning interception was due to forcing wide receiver one. I don't know. I just think it's a miscommunication between two guys, and just sort of messed up. I mean, it happens.
As we wrap up here, final call for callers, and then Evan, I want to get just final thoughts from you as to where the Bucs are at 7-8.
Yeah.
We say every single week that I don't think the vibes can get lower, and somehow the Bucs make it happen just in time for the holidays and everybody's seasonal depression to kick in. It doesn't look like it's going to be a great Christmas for Bucs fans. Next Sunday, there's plenty of questions about how they're going to match up with not only this Dolphins team, but a Dolphins team starting a rookie quarterback making his...
Richard T with a $2 super chat said, how attractive is the Bucs head coaching job? Sorry to cut you off there, but...
Oh, you're good.
I mean... I think it's fairly attractive. I don't know if it's. I mean, I'd have to really think about all the potential openings that will be there. I don't know if it'd be like the top one, but like, I mean, you're looking at the talent on the team, and like, it feels like a lot of the other teams are going to be teams that are in rebuilds, right? But also the appeal to that would be you're going to have more cap space on a rebuilding team. You're going to have a higher draft pick on a rebuilding team, right? And you're probably going to have more roster freedom on a rebuilding team to build it the way you want it. So, but I do think like if you're looking at just pure talent and the ability, the chance to win right away, yeah, the Bucs are a pretty attractive job. So I think there would be a lot of, potential candidates that would be interested in it. I don't think that'd be an issue.
Well, in one of the things you had kind of mentioned there too, I agree with. It seems like in terms of a rebuild, with where the Bucs are right now, like yes, the time for change is ultimately seems impending right now. But with that being said, I think this roster is largely going to look the same. I mean,
yeah,
like
you've got the defense is going to look a good bit different. I
right,
think,
you got your Levante David's probably going to retire. You've got a couple of different guys I think are going to be playing at linebacker. Hopefully you get some reinforcements and you kind of retool that defensive line a bit.
I think a lot of the front seven is going to be a lot different.
Yeah. Outside of that, though, you're talking about Baker Mayfield definitely being your quarterback. Mike Evans looks like a guy who can come back and play another season or two.
I think he'll be back.
So I think he's going to be back. Chris Godwin's going to be here. Jalen McMillan will be here. Tez Johnson and Emeka Egbuka going to be here. So
yeah, the starting five offensive line. I mean, maybe you can replace like a Ben Bredesen, but other than that, like Cody Mauch's gonna be coming back from injury. Like you're gonna have those guys. Maybe a question at tight end, but like I don't know. Like Bucky Irving's still gonna be there. Rashad White maybe, but like for the most part, yeah, like your offense is gonna be intact.
Yeah. So with the Bucs at 7-8, man, is the season over? Because we can't. I'm not gonna as much as we love to throw that phrase around. I can't sit here and say that it's over because they still have a fighting chance to get to the postseason. But something that we've already said is it feels like delaying the inevitable in some way, shape, or form, because I think the best of this 2025 Bucs team is unfortunately behind them, regardless of these last 2 weeks.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said it twice on the show that I still think they're going to win the division.
Yeah.
Just because I just don't know if Carolina's good enough to sweep the Bucs, and I really just think like the losing to that Miami team would be bad, right? So like that would be like the lowest point. But even if they lose, if the Bucs win the Miami game, really, the only way the Miami game matters is if Carolina beats Seattle. Then obviously, if Carolina beats Seattle, the Bucs lose to Miami, it's over. The Carolina would be able to clinch the NFC South right there. That last week would not matter. I get that, but I don't know. So is the season technically over? I don't think so. Obviously, I am sure the consensus will be yes, which I understand. I completely understand. But like in a sense of like, do I think they can do anything this season? No. Like the season's not over, but it's I know what the end result's going to be, and it's going to be a wild card loss at best.
We got Jim waiting on hold, and we're going to get to Jim here in a second. It doesn't even say a phone number. It just says Jim.
Okay.
So Jim will wrap us up here in a second. But let me reframe this question then, if you will, because we talk a lot today about the trajectory of this team, particularly the coaching staff and Todd Bowles. When you weigh the percentage of Todd Bowles returning in 26 versus not returning, what do you feel is more likely?
Probably not returning. If I had to guess.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more likely than not that the Bucs are going to have a new head coach, all new coaching staff, to be honest with you. I could see a world where if, depending on who the coach is, and I don't know a coaching name in mind, but like I could see a world where somebody might want to keep Josh Gazard just for one of the reasons being like you can finally have Baker Mayfield with an offensive coordinator for a second season, like rather than keep playing musical chairs. But I would, because I think the Bucs are going to probably target an offensive minded candidate. Which I mean, there's not a ton out there right now, in like this cycle. But I mean, you have to imagine if you do hire that guy, he's gonna want to bring in his own staff. So I think it's I don't think I'm not gonna sit here and say like I believe Bowles is fired, but I think it's probably more likely than not that they're gonna have a different coaching staff next season. I think it feels like that's the path it's heading down.
Let's get to Jim. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
How's it going, guys?
Good, man.
How's it going, man?
First video call.
Calling in from up in Nanaimo, BC, Canada. So about as far
Awesome.
away as you can get, up by Seattle.
Awesome. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. How's it going? What's up? How we feeling?
Feeling about the same as the rest of you, obviously. Terrible loss. That one definitely hurt. I agree. I wouldn't put this one on Baker. I think that obviously there was a miscommunication there. He saw the route was Evans was supposed to go to the out. Evans saw the scramble drill, so he starts, cutting it the other way, and Baker threw it where he threw it. So it looks terrible, but I don't think that's really on him. I also think that people forget the interior. Everybody keeps talking about everybody's back, but the interior of our offensive line is not back. I think that losing Cody Mock earlier in the season, I think people don't realize how much of an impact that's had on our whole interior offensive line. And then you add Ben Bredesen to that one going out, and no offense to Graham Barton, but he's kind of more of like an average center at best. And when you lose those two guards on the outside, you just see the pocket collapse the way it does. And Baker's kind of scrambling for his life all the time. And that's why he just looks so different from obviously earlier in the year. And then you add the injury on top. And I think that all those things combined, it's just not quite the same. And now, obviously, the game plan today, when you're running it, like basically every fucking play, that's never going to, like when you have four incredible wide receivers and you're not using them, I mean, that's going to obviously play into it. And that's pretty terrible. But I agree with Evan, like that's probably more so on Todd. I think he kind of dictated that. You heard in his after game speech, he talked about the fact that usually against Carolina, you run the ball 30 times, you win the game. They typically lose. He kind of brought that up, which is obvious that was, his mandate, right? That's the way that they had to play. So, it's a bummer. I'm not a Todd Bowles fan. I wanted him gone the first couple years. I was kind of a, fire Todd guy. And then, to be honest, he made changes this offseason where he kind of brought me onto his side. And I was like, you know what? I was in his corner going into this year. And then with this collapse now, it's kind of like I'm kind of done with the Todd Bowles experience.
You kind of answered my follow-up question there. I wanted to get your thoughts about Bowles and where he is right now. And you talk about the offseason changes and the approach, the things that we were seeing improvement in as far as a coaching aspect for Todd Bowles. That's what makes this collapse so heartbreaking, because it's like we've all been on the fence with Todd Bowles, some of us more far to one side than others, and that's fine. But I think a lot of people felt somewhat comfortable, probably the most comfortable they had felt with him after that 6-2 start. So, Jim, great call, buddy. We appreciate you talking with us, and we're going to wrap up here. But go Bucs.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Video call. That was really cool. Huh?
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. I got a little nervous. It is YouTube. We're doing a live show, and the element of don't know what's going to happen. We had some guy named Jim come in. I got a little nervous there, but I'm glad.
Appreciate Jim for hanging on there, though, and happy to get him on from Canada. How about that?
Awesome stuff, man. Rocking the reverse creamsicle jersey as well for the Buccaneers' 50th season. So yeah, the Bucs are 7-8, man. In unfortunately, this is kind of, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but coming out of the bye week, this is exactly what you hope to avoid. I think that there's little they could do to make this situation any worse than it certainly is right now. There's one more game they could have lost, and that's
look.
fine
And I mean,
great,
look, they lost. The one win they've had since the bye week was Arizona, and that was a 3-point game. They could have easily lost that game as well, right? So this team, and really also, really quick, this is a completely different podcast right now. If the Panthers beat the Saints last week. Yep. Because if that would have happened, the Panthers would have clinched the NFC South today. That would have been it. That. The reason the Bucs still have a fighting chance is because the Saints swept the Panthers. Which, I mean, that's I understand the Saints are playing better football now. I get it, but if you're Carolina, to get swept by that team, that's tough.
We got a Joe Burrow trade mention here with a $2 super chat, huh? Let me field the room on this one. Brandon Funk bringing the funk with a $2 super chat. He says, go after Joe Burrow, and then we have the best quarterback in the NFC. Listen, he talked a lot over the last month about, questioning if football is still fun for him or not. I don't know how many guys are having fun playing behind Cincinnati's offensive line. But I tell you what, man, you talk about just making a trade that defines where your team's going to –
You want to talk about a trade?
Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, straight up trade, man. Come on. Throw in a first rounder or two.
I mean,
who says no?
We might as well not even cover the draft if they get Joe Burrow, because they're not going to have a single draft pick anyway. For years.
Could you imagine? I love Baker Mayfield, but could you imagine how fun that would be?
Huh? Yeah, that probably. Oh boy, that's probably. I don't know. Probably three first-round picks, and probably a roster player, probably a good roster player.
Poor kid hadn't seen a palm tree since college at LSU. I really think that, get him back in here in the warm weather, make football fun. No state tax.
Is it like 3 first-round picks, Jalen McMillan and Cody Malk or something? And even then, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be smart about what offensive linemen you send, because Alex Kappa.
But also, they're not trading for Joe Burrow.
Come on,
we're just talking about
have some fun. Have some fun, damn it. This one's getting off the rails a little bit. I want to say thank you to everybody who called in. Thank you to Jim for the video call. I don't want to say first video call in show history, but I
think it is.
Yeah,
I think it is.
A pretty cool feature. If you guys are on Zoom, you can also do that. Secret's out. That's how we run the call system. So we've got the phone number on the bottom of your screen. You can join with video as well. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the super chatters one more time. Clap it up for the people. And subscribe to the Cannon Fire podcast here on YouTube for more great Buccaneers content. If you are not familiar with the channel, we appreciate you giving us a chance. You can follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to go for updates on the show. And, of course, Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_Daily. You can also find him on Twitter at EvanNFL and check out his written work at BucsNation.com. How are you going to soothe the fans this week, my friend? You've got a long week ahead of you.
I'm kind of not, because – to be honest with you, before we head out, Merry Christmas to all. to all of our listeners. We might not talk to you beforehand, so with the holiday this week and everything, we'll be talking to you probably. I don't want to say to confirm, maybe Friday. But yeah, hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday and everything. Thank you all for tuning in, this entire season. We're wrapping up. Like, the Bucs have 2 regular season games left guaranteed, and then we'll see if there's more after that. But either way, the season's closer to the end than the beginning. So we appreciate you all, and hopefully, 2026 is just as good, if not better. So, but as far as this week on Bucs Nation, I was waiting to sort of get my thoughts together, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna write that article about just my thoughts on the Bucs overall after this Carolina game. And I was assuming that the Bucs were going to win. I thought the Bucs were going to win this game. Okay, I know I wasn't on the game preview show, but I picked the Bucs to win. I thought they were going to win. Now it becomes a lot easier to write about them, because now that they lost, because it would have felt a little weird, right? Saying like brutally honest thoughts after they had just won a game to take, really a stranglehold of the NFC South. Like, that would have felt a little strange. Now, though, I can kind of tee off a little bit. So we'll see. Stay tuned to Bucs Nation for that. I will have that out before Christmas. So stay tuned to BucsNation.com for that and all that other good stuff. I mean, look, we don't, it's no fun, right, to cover a team that's in a stretch like this. So we appreciate, like I said, we had, well over 200 people in here. We appreciate everybody hanging in there and everybody calling and everything, just like Rhett said. So appreciate you all. And yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that and the other. Next week's post-game show is kind of in purgatory. I know we found ourselves in this situation a few times this season, but I will be traveling out of state, and it is yet to be determined if I will be bringing my equipment with me or not. I probably will. I feel like I can find an excuse to bring it up there with me. And
yeah, talk about how they lost that game.
Yeah, It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Follow myself on social media, Instagram and Twitter mostly, at Redicus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I will follow you back. And please check out the Rondé Barber Show. He's just super excited to talk about the Bucs this week.
That show this week is going to be a pretty must watch. Is it still airing on Wednesday?
We're going to record on Wednesday.
I didn't know because of Christmas Eve and everything.
Yep,
okay.
We're going to record it. We're planning to record and release an episode on Wednesday as of right now. That could change, but we're probably going to be talking about the Vaspar Championship. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't really think there's anything else to mention. So
right. But that'll be a good time, and that show's been getting a lot of cool support throughout the season, so go check that out if you haven't. I'm your host, Rhett Matthew, signing off for my co-host, Evan Wanish. We will see you in the next one. Until then, and as always, thank you for listening. Happy holidays, and go Bucs.